click on a website, sometimes it loads instantly, sometimes you're staring at a spinning wheel wondering if your internet died. And here's the thing that nobody talks about, it has almost nothing to do with your internet speed. Yeah, I know. Your internet provider loves to blame themselves when things are slow. They'll sell you faster speeds, better routers, premium packages. But here's what they're not telling you. Most of the time, your internet is just sitting there waiting for something else entirely. In the next 15 minutes, you're gonna understand why Netflix loads in 2 seconds while your bank's website feels like it's running on a potato. And once you see how this actually works, you'll never look at that loading spinner the same way again. So here's what's really happening when you type in a web address. Think about the last time you ordered something on Amazon. You click the button, and boom, page loads. Then you try to check your credit card statement, and suddenly you're watching that little circle spin like it's got all day. Same internet connection, same phone, completely different experience. Everyone tells you it's about internet speed. Get faster Wi-Fi, upgrade your plan, clear your cache. But that's not what actually happens. What really happens is you're not waiting for your internet at all. You're waiting for a conversation between your device and a computer that might be on the other side of the planet. Picture this scenario. You're trying to load your favorite news site. Your phone sends out a request, basically a, hey, can I see your homepage? Message. That message has to travel to wherever that website's computer lives. Could be California, could be Ireland, could be Singapore. Then that computer has to wake up, find all the pieces of that web page, gather them together, and send them all back to you. And this matters because every single millisecond of that journey adds up. It's not just about how fast the data moves, it's about how far it has to go and how many conversations have to happen along the way. Think of it like ordering food. Sometimes you order from the pizza place down the street. Driver shows up in 15 minutes. Other times you order from that amazing Thai place across town. Now you're waiting an hour. Same delivery service, same car, different distance. Websites work exactly the same way. There's this pattern I call the distance problem, and it's hiding in plain sight every single day. When you connect to a website, your data doesn't just magically appear. It travels through actual physical cables under streets, across oceans, through buildings. Light moves fast, sure, but it's still got to cover actual distance. And when that website's computer is sitting in a server farm in Virginia and you're in Los Angeles, that's 3,000 miles your request has to travel. 3,000 miles there, 3,000 miles back. That's 6,000 miles before a single pixel shows up on your screen. This matters because geography is destiny on the internet. Netflix figured this out years ago. They don't keep all their movies in one place. They've got copies of Stranger Things stored in hundreds of locations around the world. When you hit play in Seattle, you're not pulling that video from some Netflix headquarters in California. You're getting it from a server that's probably within 50 miles of your house. That's why it loads so fast. They brought the content closer to you. Think about Maria. She's trying to load her online banking app from her apartment in Miami. Her bank's main computers are in New York. Every time she checks her balance, her phone sends a signal north 1,300 miles to New York. The bank's computer processes it, sends the data back 1,300 miles south. That's a 2,600 mile round trip just to see how much money she's got. And that's happening every single time she clicks anything. Check transactions, another round trip. Pay a bill, another one. The distance never changes, the wait time never improves. Your brain doesn't naturally think about distance on the internet because it feels instant most of the time. Back when we were sending letters, distance made obvious sense. Mail from California to New York took days. Everyone got that. But now everything feels so fast that we forget physics still matters. Data might move at nearly the speed of light, but light still takes time to travel 3,000 miles. And when you're making dozens or hundreds of these trips just to load one web page, those milliseconds stack up fast. But here's where it gets interesting. Distance is just the beginning. There's another pattern that's even sneakier. I call it the conversation explosion. And this is the one that really makes websites crawl. When you load a simple web page, you're not just asking for one thing. You're asking for dozens of things, maybe hundreds. Think about opening the New York Times homepage. Your browser doesn't just grab the articles. It's also grabbing the header image, the navigation menu, the comment sections, the advertisements, the social media buttons, the videos, the recommended articles, the weather widget, and about 60 other things you don't even notice. Each one of those is a separate request, a separate conversation. And here's the part that makes this brutal. Most of those conversations can't happen at the same time. Your browser has to wait for certain things before it can ask for other things. It's like being at Starbucks during morning rush. You can't order your drink until the person in front of you finishes. Then you can't customize it until the barista acknowledges your order. Then you can't pay until they ring it up. Sequential steps. Can't skip ahead. Websites work the same way. Your browser asks for the main page, waits for the response, reads through what it got, discovers it needs a bunch of images, asks for those, waits again, discovers it needs some code files, asks for those, waits again, and on and on. Every delay multiplies. This matters because modern websites are insanely complicated. That news article you're reading, it's not just text on a screen. It's loading fonts from Google. It's loading ads from 15 different advertising companies. It's loading social media plugins from Facebook and Twitter. It's loading analytics code from 6 different tracking services. It's loading comment sections from Discuss. Each one of these is run by a different company, hosted in a different location, requiring a separate conversation. And your poor browser is trying to coordinate all of this like it's conducting an orchestra where half the musicians are in different countries. Think about Jake. Jake runs a small business website. He hired someone to build it years ago. That designer added a nice photo slideshow, added some custom fonts, threw in a live chat widget, added Google Analytics, added a Facebook pixel, added a mailing list pop-up, added a weather widget for some reason. Each thing seems small at the time. But now Jake's website has to make 47 separate requests to 19 different companies just to show his homepage, and it loads in about 8 seconds. Which means most people leave before they even see what he sells. Jake keeps thinking he needs better hosting, but that's not his problem. His problem is he's asking visitors to have 47 different conversations with 19 different computers before they can read a single word. Your brain doesn't naturally see all these conversations because they're invisible. You just see a website that's slow or fast. But behind the scenes, your browser is working overtime. It's like trying to make dinner by getting ingredients from 47 different stores. Even if you've got a fast car, you're still driving to 47 locations. That takes time. And here's what makes this even more surprising. The computers hosting these websites aren't just sitting around waiting for you. They're handling millions of requests from millions of people. When you connect to a popular website, you're basically getting in line. And sometimes that line is long. There's this thing I call the bottleneck effect. Imagine a stadium exit after a concert. Doesn't matter how fast you can walk, you're limited by how fast everyone else can get through those doors. Websites work the same way. The computer hosting that site can only process so many requests at once. Maybe it can handle 10,000 people simultaneously. Person number 10,001? They're waiting. And this is why websites crash during big events. Think about trying to buy concert tickets the second they go on sale. Website immediately dies. Not because the internet is slow, because 50,000 people just tried to squeeze through a door built for 10,000. This matters because that bottleneck isn't always obvious. Your favorite news site loads fine at 3 in the morning, try loading it at noon when everyone's on lunch break. Completely different experience. Same website, same internet connection, different number of people trying to get through the same door at the same time. Now, this next pattern is particularly sneaky because nobody thinks about it. I call it the optimization problem. And this is where websites shoot themselves in the foot without realizing it. When someone builds a website, they make thousands of tiny decisions. Should we use this image format or that one? Should we compress these files or leave them full quality? Should we bundle all our code together or split it up? Each decision seems small, but they add up to massive differences in load time. Think about images. You take a photo on your iPhone, that file is like 5 megabytes. You could shrink it down to 100 kilobytes and it would look basically identical on a screen. But if the person building the website doesn't do that, Now everyone downloading that page has to pull 5 megabytes instead of 100 kilobytes. That's 50 times more data, 50 times longer to download. This is why some websites feel snappy and others feel sluggish, even when they're showing you similar content. It's not what they're showing you, it's how they packaged it. Think about getting a package from Amazon versus getting a package from some random online store. Amazon's box is perfectly sized, minimal packaging, everything efficient. That random store? Your tiny item is in a massive box filled with foam, peanuts, and bubble wrap, and 3 layers of plastic. You're hauling around all that extra weight for no reason. Websites are the same way. Some are beautifully packaged, others are shipping you bloated, unoptimized files that could have been half the size. Think about comparing Target's website to your local boutique's website. Target loads almost instantly. That boutique, you're watching spinning wheels. Target spent millions having engineers optimize every single piece of their site. They compressed every image, they minimized every line of code, they tested on thousands of devices. That boutique, someone's cousin built it in WordPress with a template they found, didn't optimize anything, just uploaded full-size images straight from their phone. And now every visitor is downloading megabytes of unnecessary data. Your brain assumes all websites are built with the same care because they all look like websites. But the difference in engineering quality is massive. It's like comparing a Tesla to a car someone assembled in their garage. Both have wheels, both technically drive, completely different experience. But here's what nobody wants to admit. Here's the uncomfortable truth that changes everything about how you see this. The reason websites load at different speeds isn't really about technology at all. It's about economics. It's about who has money and who doesn't. Who can afford to hire great engineers and who's scraping by with whatever they can get. What's actually happening is the internet has become a 2-tier system. Rich companies can afford to put their computers everywhere. They can afford to optimize everything. They can afford to handle massive traffic. Poor companies or small businesses or independent creators, they're stuck with whatever cheap hosting they can afford. Their websites live on one overloaded computer in one location, serving everyone, everywhere. And you feel that difference every single time you click. This isn't because small businesses are lazy or incompetent. It's because the infrastructure of the internet costs real money. Netflix spends billions making sure their videos load fast for everyone. That local bookstore, they're paying $40 a month for basic hosting. And you can feel that billion-dollar difference in the load time. This is why every major tech company feels instant while everything else feels slow. It explains why Amazon can show you product pages in milliseconds while your local store's website takes 6 seconds. And it's the reason why big companies keep getting bigger. When your website is faster, people buy more. When people buy more, you make more money. When you make more money, you can make your website even faster. The rich get richer and the gap just keeps growing. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah runs a small online pottery business. She makes beautiful handmade ceramics. Her website is hosted on a cheap shared server somewhere in Texas. When someone in New York wants to see her products, their request travels to Texas, bounces back to New York, takes about 2 seconds. Doesn't sound like much, but in internet time, that's forever. Meanwhile, she's competing with Etsy. Etsy has servers all over the world. Their site loads in half a second. Sarah's potential customers click her link, wait 2 seconds, get impatient, click back, end up on Etsy instead. Sarah thinks people just don't like her products, but they never even saw them. They left before the page loaded. She loses sales not because her pottery isn't good, but because she can't afford the infrastructure to compete with billion-dollar companies. Now compare that to Marcus. Marcus also sells handmade stuff online, but Marcus understood something Sarah didn't. He couldn't compete on infrastructure. So instead, he made his website absurdly simple. 1 page, minimal images, all heavily compressed. No fancy widgets, no chat pop-ups, no tracking scripts from 12 different companies. Just his products and a buy button. His site loads in under 1 second, even though it's on the same cheap hosting Sarah uses. Because he's not asking visitors to download megabytes of unnecessary stuff. He's not making their browser have 40 conversations with different servers. He kept it simple. And his sales are triple what Sarah's are, even though his products aren't any better. Notice how that works? It's not about having more money or better technology. It's about understanding what actually slows websites down and making different choices because of that understanding. Here's what most people don't realize. It's not actually about the website at all. It's about trust. When a website loads slowly, your brain starts asking questions. Is this site legit? Is it safe? Should I trust them with my credit card? Slow loading becomes a signal. Maybe an unfair signal, but a real one. Fast websites feel professional. Slow websites feel sketchy. Even if that slow website is perfectly safe and the fast website is a scam, the people who succeed at making fast websites don't have magical internet connections. They understand these patterns. They know distance matters. They know every conversation adds delay. They know optimization compounds. And they make choices based on that knowledge instead of just hoping things work out. These patterns aren't personal failures. They're predictable physics that every website faces. But now that you understand the distance problem, the conversation explosion, the bottleneck effect, and the optimization problem, you can see what's actually happening when that spinner shows up. It's not your internet. It's not even really the website most of the time. It's the fundamental architecture of how the internet works combined with the choices someone made when building that site. So here's what we've uncovered. When a website loads slowly, it's usually some combination of being far away, making too many requests, hitting a bottleneck, or being poorly optimized. When it loads fast, someone either spent a fortune putting computers everywhere and optimizing everything, or they kept things beautifully simple. The speed you experience isn't random, it's the direct result of decisions and economics you never see. The question isn't whether websites will load at different speeds. They always will. The question is whether you'll recognize what's actually causing the delay. Because now you know it's not magic and it's not your Wi-Fi. It's distance, conversations, bottlenecks, and optimization. You can't unknow it. So next time you're staring at a loading screen, ask yourself, am I waiting because this site is poorly built? Or am I waiting because they're trying to coordinate 17 different companies' computers to show me one web page? Because once you see these patterns, everything looks different. That spinning wheel isn't just annoying anymore. It's telling you a story about geography, economics, and the invisible architecture holding the internet together.